I'm welcoming Barb Fulton-Jenis, the curator of the series, Poems from Connecticut's Four Corners. I'm Lucy Hanley of the Ridgefield Library, and I'm delighted that you're all here. Welcome, Barb.
Thank you. Well, welcome. And thank you, Lucy, and thank you, Ridgefield Library. As always, it's always really an honor to be hosted by you and also to share your network of wonderful viewers and listeners. Um, just very briefly, I wanted to let you know that we are still continuing this wonderful monthly series. We're always looking for poets from each of the four corners in the Central Hartford region. If you or anyone you know would like to participate and haven't done so yet, they can just email me directly at barbjenis@gmail.com, and we'll get you on the roster. And just also if you do email, just let me know what town you're from so I know which region to put you in. So, speaking of upcoming readings, next month we have another 5 wonderful poets to join us: Victor Altschul, Sharon Chard, Ed Lent, Angela Sue, and Edwina Trentham. I love that name. Isn't that a wonderful name? So be sure you tune in on February 5th. We're going back to our first Monday of the month, our first Wednesday of the month, as usual. We just wanted to not land on New Year's Day thinking that everybody was probably going to just be lounging. Okay, so let's start off tonight's reading. We have 5 wonderful poets joining us. We'll start with Kat Pihl. Kat Pihl recently, also, I will put longer bios in the chat. I do a very abbreviated form, so be sure to check the chat for more information. Okay, so Kat Pihl recently published her first book, omphaloskepsis. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to help with the pronunciation and explain it, Kat, through Alien Buddha Press. She received the 2011 Dorothy McCollum Siebert Award from Eastern University. So welcome, Kat, and tell us about this omphaloskepsis and what it means.
Omphaloskepsis is the art of gazing into your own navel, and I write a lot of poems about navel gazing. So this is my book, Omphaloskepsis, and I'm going to read about 5 poems today. This first one is called Devout. I was adrift and apathetic when anorexia found me, and it felt like she saved me. She shielded me from everything, because nothing besides her mattered. The only thing I had to do in return was monitor the number on the scale from now until forever, and never, ever let it increase. I was a changed girl, like those who find God. I had purpose, and life had meaning, and my world shrunk to the size of a plate. I was so devout, I called on her when I first woke up, at every mealtime, while my head laid on the pillow, and always, always when I stepped on the scale. My faith was strong. I wore the vestments, the goosebumps and peach fuzz. The jagged ridge of my spine and the tusks of my hips marked me as fanatic amongst a culture of lax believers. With every step, the sinews in my knees cried out to the goddess in reverence. I loved her as much as my skittering heart could manage. Even when the evidence showed she was no benevolent deity, she was a trickster god, a fatal poison I drank down as holy communion. I worshipped with the strength of a zealot, weighed my worth on her scales, spent my best years in her convent, shaved down to a sliver of myself. But the only way to be reborn in her image is to lay down your life in sacrifice. And while my body is weak, my spirit is no longer willing. I see now her Shangri-La, her paradise, was only a mirage, because I followed her commandments in her hallowed name, and in return I am hollow in every way possible. I'll never worship again. I only pray for another way out of this death cult. Thank you. This next poem is called That Body of Hers. I once heard a boy say, "I can't believe that body of hers." Not in regard to my own, of course. The body I was issued doesn't draw comments of that nature, only well-meaning insults from strangers. Put some meat on those bones. Don't you eat? I used to be skinny like you. Just wait. One time, a lady caught my eye in the market and sing-songed, "Skinny Minnie," in a voice that somehow praised and scolded both. I said nothing. What do you say? To a stranger you'll never see again? Actually, ma'am, I'm this skinny because I've had an eating disorder for 20 years. I often wonder, if I'm not skinny, am I anything at all? Skinny is who I am, my identifier, my core. I'm skinny Minnie and I'm starving myself to be her with no idea how to stop. So they might as well just write skinny Minnie on the face of my grave. Maybe you meant it as a positive, but it stings like a barb. So I wish you wouldn't shout at me here amongst the produce when I am just trying to convince myself to pick out some goddamn fruit to eat this week. Anyway, he said, I can't believe that body of hers. And I loved the idea that a body could be so real, so corporeal, that it could cause you to re-examine everything you thought you knew. What power there would be in a body like that. I've had many bodies in my life so far. Childhood ones I grew in and out of so fast I never really got to know them. Varying degrees of dainty and resilient, always thin. Teenage bodies, surprisingly like the childhood ones, stick straight and knobby, but gangly, brittle, somehow thinner. My body today follows the same trend. Every part of her is hard, sharpness in even the roundest places, taut skin over weathered bones, a sunken-eyed skeleton. I give her water, sometimes bread, and she performs miracles. 9 years ago, she carried my son for 40 weeks, built him from near nothing, birthed him fully formed with only adrenaline flowing through her veins. Last week, she carried him again when he felt dizzy at the Auburn Mall. From the children's place, down the thoroughfare, 2 laps around Macy's, searching for the exit, and out into the parking garage, 4'6", 70 pounds, up on her hip like he was nothing but a babe. She just keeps going every single day for weeks, months, years on nothing but sheer willpower. You wouldn't know it to look at me, but I can't believe this body of mine. Can't believe the things she's done, nor the things I've done to her. I want to say I love her, but can you love someone and treat them this way? This poem is called I Took an IQ Test. I took an IQ test in primary school. I had been flagged for the gifted program, the class where exceptional students could do exceptional things. My teacher saw that in me at 7, that I had the potential to be exceptional. My parents agreed I could be tested, but only if my brother could test too, even though he'd never been flagged as gifted or exceptional or even very nice. I adored him from the start, and he tolerated me, reminding me constantly that I was not as smart as him, that I would never be as smart as him, nor as good, nor as funny, nor as loved. We both took the test, and we both scored well enough to be accepted into the gifted program, me 7, him 9, as equals. But we were never equals. I was reminded all the time I was less than, and he was more. He was a boy, and I was a little sister. We did the things he wanted, and we did them his way because he was older and wiser, a born leader, a boy who would become a man. He set the pace. I ran to keep up. When I was 17, the dead weight of my stupidity was too much for him to drag along any further, and with stinging teenage cruelty, he wrote me off altogether, told the world he had no sister. I went to my mother for comfort, sobbed in her arms, pain radiating from me like an aura, and she confessed that I had scored higher than him all those years ago. She dug out the results, showed me the faded proof. Me, 127, him, 125. I had never been less than. I had always been more, but no one had wanted me to know. Or more accurately, no one had wanted him to know. His casual brutality was inconsequential. Knowing the truth might hurt his pride, so I would have to be less in order for him to be more. In one final act of savagery, my mother swore me to secrecy, made me promise that I would hide the light that burned within me so its brightness didn't hurt his eyes. It would be better for me to self-immolate than for him to stand in my shadow. I promised, but I was 17. So the next time he called me dumb, that very same afternoon, I snarled, I might be dumb, but you're 2 points dumber. I wish I could say it mattered, that things changed, that I saw surprise or regret or understanding in his eyes, but it never mattered and nothing changed because he didn't believe me, not even for an instant. How could he? In what world is a match brighter than the sun? Now my son is 7, and he too is exceptional, an anomaly of goodness and curiosity, confidence and oddity. I don't know if he is gifted, but I know he is a gift, an unmatchable responsibility, a human deserving of care and safety and love. And I know that I was too. So why was I not worth protecting? I was exceptional, and it still wasn't enough. This poem is called Sit With Your Sad. Sit with your sad, my therapist tells me. Her name is Sarah, and she is beautiful and kind and asks the sort of questions that make my skin itch to think about. I tell her my secret shames, the crumbs swept to my darkest corners. I show her the parts that hurt the most, and together we poke the bruises. Sit with your sad, she says, because I only visit my sad places. I never stay. I always leap into the canyon head first, my cheeks flushed, eyes watering, the hollow place within me thrumming in anticipation of true, deep emotion. But just when I am about to smash open, to splatter my wretched anguish all over the ground for anyone to see, just in time, the whipcord fastened to my ankle snaps tight, and I am jerked violently upwards towards the silver lining, the punchline, the self-deprecation. The surge of air dries my tears before they ever leave my eyes. But Sarah says, you don't have to dive into grief. You can climb down. Stay just a little while. Leave when you're ready. I want to please her, want to make her head nod in that compassionate way that says, I see you. I want to make her laugh because when she laughs, it feels like I am just a normal person who could get better and not a pile of broken glass ground into nothing. So I will try to sit with my sad. I will try to descend the cliff walls and stand sure-footed on the solid ground. Sarah says it's hard, but forgiving if you ease into it. And then my last poem for you tonight is called He Looks Like a Growing Boy, and this is from my son Atticus. He looks like a growing boy, long-limbed and full-spirited, but he is only a baby. My first, my last, my only, my precious. He smells like happiness, like pine trees and fairy gardens, like late December snow. He's made of the early May breeze, a tang of salt and iron-rich dirt. He is all arms and legs, constantly moving with the breath of the wind, yet he is as still as the largest rock that the rivers rage around. He is as light as fresh air, as lively as the running creek. He is breathtaking. He takes the air straight from my lungs, and in its place, he leaves behind something unnameable. He looks like a growing boy, but he is so much more than that. He is stardust and willpower and everything good I have ever done. Thank you.
Wow, wonderful. Oh, just that last poem is just gorgeous. Oh my gosh, that line, he is still as the largest rock that the rivers rage around. What a great line. And thank you for
10 now and wonderful.
He's how much?
10.
Oh, that's okay. You still have him a couple more years, right? And
Thank you very much.
Oh boy, thank you for your bravery and your honesty and your poems about your anorexia, your eating disorder. Just amazing. Very, very, very powerful poems. So thank you. All right. So next we have Tishala Williams. Tishala is an award-winning poet, writer, and creative advocate who gives her time and talent to the stage, to literary arts, and to the Hartford community. She is Greater Hartford Arts Council. Sorry, she is a Greater Hartford Arts Council board member, executive co-founder of the organization Hartford's LIT, and resident community advisor with North Hartford Ascend Pipeline. By the way, LIT stands for Literary Integrated Trailblazers, and they do amazing things in the Hartford community. So please welcome Tashala Williams, and I'll put her wonderful biography in the chat. Welcome, Tashala.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. And I'm going to go ahead and dive right in and allow this poetry to introduce myself to you. Why I write. I write to slay dragons, dismantle factions, give no evil traction, sharpen vision, then cut incision in the iron wall of oppression. I write truth so you can stop guessing. I ink words into weapons, incinerate what harms you, bind what confines you, find and grind what haunts your mind. I ain't come here to waste your time. I write to ignite your soul, set purpose ablaze, get you out the trap phase, bright light exposing realities, tragedies, and fallacy. You can't be blind in the presence of me. If seeing is believing, be cataract free. I write because my voice is necessary. My cadence varies, and some stuff I say can be downright scary. Bump fear. If you are here, then you bury everything even close to resembling defeat. Stand on your 2 feet, push your sleeves up, wake up your ankles so you can juke adversity. Life be obstacle university. You better get your degree. No matter how uncomfortable the journey, beat your chest and flex, my G. Pain be soliloquy of retreat memory. Take that pity song off repeat. Affirm your power confidently. What else would you be speaking if not acknowledging your victory? You are the general of this outfit. You didn't come this far to concede to a trick, and ain't no way in hell you can ever quit. And I'll write the words so you remember it. You started, so you might as well finish it. This next piece is called Don't Fear the Night. We have come into the space that gets into our face and demands that we survive. You can't windmill through, brisk walk, run from, become unwrapped, rattled, or saddled by dismay. Cocoon still holds wings. Flower will still bloom amidst ashen surroundings. Even in war, love found me, found men, found God after I lost him, found reasons not to be exhausted like water and air, cold foot to warm concrete, toes to white butterfly in green grass, eyes to sunrise, cheeks to sun landing or setting, sky so beautiful, we be forgetting. Forget there is a butterfly in that dark and bumpy shell, a creature brand new beneath pigmented chrysalis, a cell of its own making, silk, delicate as innocence, pupa, pupil, learning under the veil, beauty locked away until aged to perfection. And then, with no outside assistance, your power is within. In an instance, feet breach, hands reach, baptized by sunlight, taking flight and soaring out of sight. You can reach all the heights if you do not fear the night. This next piece is called What Are the Things? What are the things? The ones on the table, unlabeled, but nestled in human beings, the triggers and trauma we smile at when seen. What are the things? The ones that fly in on top of pain's wings, the one that sings in a never-ending loop in your ear like some worry soup, a litany of overthinking stew. Carrots of bills, potatoes of nurturing, onions of hurting, uncured beef bubbling and hissing to the pressures of the world, frustrated little boys and unheard young girls, pushed into an apparatus and sprayed across the world in a way that makes all the triggers unfurled. What are the things? The ones you won't discuss, yet fight you in darkness. All your peace it disrupts, and for what? All because you won't say? Won't name what hurts you so much, won't speak it to the air, can't seem out of touch when old things touch you like breakdancing crew. Ken Swift, crazy legs rock steadying you, smooth with the moves on some Shabba-Doo. Change the music. Control narrative by narrating your directive. Speak life by talking your direction. You've had time for self-reflection. Make the plan, because you learned the lesson. Helped others with your suggestions, but won't practically apply for your own progression. Deal with the things. Don't let them rob you of your moments or peaceful endings. Speak, human beings. Take control of the things. Own your own narrative by any means. This next piece is called We Persist. We persist. Language ventriloquist. Personification illusionist. Paragraph genie, making nouns and verbs disappear, putting other thoughts near view, in rear view, framing like a hustler, subduing memories until they freeze and seize. A captured moment in time. That's powerful to me. I take snapshots in poetry, rearrange colors so we can see one another, lace metaphors through doors like a whore's pantyhose. Everywhere language goes isn't always pretty or sedity. It can take form like a cross your heart bra or get loose like some free chi-chis. Some love has stains, not all blood spatter represents pain, and there are some imaginations that I won't refrain from. Everything is up for discussion. Love leads to birth and death, and for some, grief is the only love you have left. But you can't resist. Heart be not closed fist unless it's fighting what comes against it. Some fights, I ain't always equipped. But the good book says that the fight is fixed, so I'm fixing a Ali shuffle over all of this. This ain't the first battle in this life survival bout. We have to fight on even if we get knocked out. We persist. Like the hands on a clock, not stuck watching the tick-tock, but putting force behind the wand, seeing beyond this moment of pain. I paint it on the page or sing it in a refrain, a reminder to overcome again and again, then write that thing out with my fine-tip blue pen, verb after verb, till the unequivocal end. All right, I got 2 more pieces for y'all. This next piece is called Before I Won. Why are our challenges so interesting? Struggle pulling our minds into a paradox where virtue and vengeance are locked in a situationship. Hating to love each other so much. So intensely, passion immense, the battle becomes brutal. Ego won't relinquish its grip. Pride had me by the lip before I won. Life jumped me in, pulling dreams apart, forcing me down a path my feet fought. Walk that stuff out, life said. Stop getting stuck in your head and produce. Get down to what you want to do. The only person holding you back is the one with your birth date, same name, same height and weight, similar fate, except the feet are connected to the body. They move because I want to. Just gotta remember my motivation more than my pain. Gotta let progress be my gain and not agony and misery. My success is up to me. If up I see, up can be achieved. Don't need a reprieve, I need to leave. I got sick and tired of the darkness surrounding me in the front row seat to others' progress. I can't nurture my garden if I'm watching yours grow. I can buy your ticket and still create my own show. I just can't forget what I know. Can't allow past victories to be forgotten memories. I fought to get here. Fought obstacles, boxed tears, confronted my fears, and was losing for years to the doubt on repeat in my ears. Forgot it took Joseph 12 years. I can't keep quitting at year 10. Can't be afraid to begin again. Failure is my friend and always comes before I win. I live today to fight again. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I've truly enjoyed myself here today. My last piece is called The Cost to Live. The cost to live is high. The cost to live healthy causes poor people to die, elderly to be passed by, and working parents to wonder why. Why does something so necessary feel like an adversary, adversarially assassinating me, mercenary at the gates of health, telling me I don't have enough wealth to save myself? Say it's impossible to give to all, and yet other countries have prevailed where America has failed, so who lying? Why try to convince me the value placed initially cannot also be adjusted? After all, it is your system. Your nifty little invention, several infrastructures later, we're told company bottom line is greater than the lives you could save. Can't give that medicine away, even though you price gouging daily. What I need a doctor's signature for in the USA, be right at the Asian pharmacy. All these middlemen vying for a piece at the expense of me. Ain't no way this system healthy. Always moving stealthily, but only have deals for the wealthy. How we technologically advanced, but can't never find no cure. CDC makes solving a problem so obscure, then corporate comes to distort the truth. In order to understand, you gotta be super sleuth. Yes, still talking about healthcare. See how it goes from here to there and still ain't everywhere? Just leaving despair in the air and a prescription with more side effects than the problem is supposed to fix. That's some bullshit. I mean, it's obscene to see these things and sufferings and still get comfortable with how it's going. Can't celebrate the good when the bad always showing. Can't say we have evolved when only 1% is growing. Thank you.
Wow. You brought us a long way. That was amazing. Very powerful last poem there. But I love many of the lines from your earlier ones too. I love the deal with the things. You own your own narratives by any means, own your own narratives by any means. Just some wonderful, memorable lines. And I can't nurture my garden if I'm watching yours grow. Great line. So thank you, Tishala. Beautiful reading and very dynamic. Okay, next up we have our lone Y chromosome for this evening. Excuse me, I'm going to make myself choke here with my bad jokes. We have Ed Dzitko, who with his wife, Sandy Carlson, who's in the audience this evening, is a managing partner of Orenaug Mountain Publishing, which produces print anthologies. And he's also the online Orenaug Mountain Poetry Journal co-managing partner. He has been writing for more than 40 years, but is relatively new to poetry. He lives in Western Connecticut, just about on the dividing line between the Northwest and the Southwest corners. So welcome, Ed. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you, Barb. Hello, everybody. I'm looking forward to tonight. I'm going to try to show you a range of stuff and have a little bit of fun with it. I started writing poetry after Sandy was appointed poet laureate of Woodbury. She was a big inspiration with what she was talking about, what poetry meant and what she wanted to do with her role as poet laureate. And then one thing led to another, and I just started writing. So this first one is called Gently Blows the Breeze, which in retrospect was kind of fun to write, but it's a little bit tricky to read. That line repeats itself. But anyway, here we go. Gently blows the breeze. I watch the swaying leaves, breathing deeply here and now, in and out, as I know how. Gently blows the breeze, Mother Nature, please. Come hither, walk with me. Set your mind and spirit free. Gently blows the breeze. I rise, walk with ease. I observe grazing deer. I ask, I listen, I hear. Gently blows the breeze. I know what peace is. My heart soars like birds above, connected to all with love. Gently blows the breeze. My quiet time does cease. I emerge, fully aware that a bear sits in my chair. This next one is from one of the Orenaug Mountain Publishing collections. And if you can see it a little bit, it's called Whose Spirits Touch. And Sandy talked a lot about how poetry can build community. It's one of the things that we really see happening through the anthologies that we're doing, is we get people from all over the world taking part. And this one was really interesting because the woman who has the lead poem, Nora D. Chi, turns out that she's Navajo and her father was an artist. So it's her, she lent us the cover work, the artwork for the cover. And I just lost my place because I moved my hand out of the poem. Sorry about that. Well, we'll move on to the next one. This one is has to do with Gettysburg and my passion about Gettysburg, and it's a religious experience to go there. And if you've never been, you should take a trip to Pennsylvania. The Civil War is most interesting to me because of what the people experienced as citizens and soldiers. And so this is a little bit about one of the things I read. The beating of your heart. What evil lurks in the dark? Your mind goes there, your heart rate quickens at the thought of who or what is under the bed, in the closet, sneaking around the house. It's sure to be big and dangerous. Eyes pinned open wide, sounds in the silence magnified. Deep down you know you're safe, yet you hold your breath. A lump forms in your throat, your heart pulses in your head. You endure alone, praying for daylight. But what if daylight, not darkness, is the cause of your fear? The cracks of rifles, hurried orders shouted at soldiers, men running, horses galloping, cannons booming, dust drifting down in your room. Sent to the cellar, you're blind. Will enemy soldiers find men and boys in your house? Or you, mother and sisters below? Without screams, shouts, or even whispers, You pray and hope. When silence falls, you know who it is opening the door. One of the things that Sandy did as poet laureate was work with Flanders, and we did 2 books on ekphrastic poetry with the Flanders art show, and this is out of that book. It's instances of seeing 2, and there's an instances of seeing 1. You can't really see it, but there's a painting of a birch branch in wintertime with 3 birds sitting on it, and this is my take on what the birds are doing on the branch. 3 chubby chickadees on a frosty winter's day came outside to play. "What's the weather today?" said one chickadee as all sat on the branch of the fir tree. Neither of the others knew what it'd be. So there, staring, they sat at the little one, hoping to chat. "Well, the sky's gray, so there's that," said the bird who wanted to know if in the forecast there were snow. "We most certainly need to know, so we can take flight and sing and not get ice on our wings." Still staring, the others said nothing. "Don't you 2 have anything to tish-a-dee? Can't you even give me a fee-bee?" Quieting down, the chatty chickadee soon learned why the others couldn't speak, as the winter wind had frozen his beak. And I have one from a collection called We Are Here, and this gets into the baseball poetry portion of the show. This one is Sunset on the Lodge. In a park in the hollow where Woodbury began more than 3 centuries ago, baseball games are in full swing in fields just off the main road. As the setting sun splashes color off the historic Masonic Lodge high upon a rock ledge, near where Methodists gathered in town for the first time, the games can last long past dinner hour. As the kids walk the bases and the innings drag as only innings can, it's easy to be distracted by Mother Nature doing what she does best. Sometimes pings of the bat, shouts of balls and strikes, calls of out and safe, cheers of the crowd cannot compete with the glowing facade. People post to Instagram and Facebook sharing that spiritual experience, hashtagging the game away. One of the first readings I did was at an open mic that was one of the first ones that Sandy hosted at the library, and it was a baseball themed open mic. And I was invited to read at that, and I had to put together a bunch of poems to have some bit of substance. So this is from a book called Swinging Away. If you had a bicycle when you were a kid and you liked baseball cards, you know what the combination means, and this is for you. Keep, trade, ride. That guy's good. Keep Pihl. That guy's okay. Flip Pihl. Oh, he's a favorite. Keep. Ah, there's one. How does this guy even have a card? Every pack of baseball cards, that's how it went. Now and then the call was hard. Keep, flip, spokes. Have the clothespins? Okay, use this one in front. Want another in back? Watch the gears. Ready? Roll forward. Good snap. Let's ride. Around the block, half speed, slow enough to hear. Snap, 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 snap. Just fast enough to catch a breeze. When you're warming up to loosen up your arm, you start slow, throwing the ball back and forth, and as both people are kind of ready and their arms are good and loose, it gets a little fast, and you kind of flip the ball to your throwing hand and pivot and throw all in one kind of motion. So this is catch. Opposite ends of the yard, a father and son happy in the silence, meditating in the steady ritual of throw and catch, the pop of the glove, the flip to the throwing hand, smooth and easy. There was understanding, perhaps better than at any other time in their days, in the back and forth. A few grounders here, a few pop-ups there, then grounders again, some high flies, and soon the ball whizzing faster and faster. Catch, pivot, fire, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, catch, pivot, fire, until they were winded, signaling the end of the game. There was a wave, then tousled hair, then a pop on a warm summer night. And lastly, in my head, this poem is the equivalent of drop the mic, walk off the stage. Hopefully you'll catch that at the end. It's called Home Run Calls. I was watching a baseball game and an announcer on TV, some guy just clobbered a ball to right field. And the guy's line was, "Oh my goodness, that ball has a family." So that's kind of where this took off from. And that's where it starts. "Oh my goodness, that ball had a family," the announcer said. Shouting above the roar of the crowd cheering a Cincinnati Red, I laughed out loud, replayed it again, then created this thread of home run calls over the years before going to bed. Oh, what goes on in an announcer's mind when the balls sail majestically overhead. Listen and see. It is high, it is far, it is gone. That ball is going, gone. Back, gone. Track, wall, see you later. Kiss it goodbye. That's a doozy, Marooney. Goodbye, Dolly Gray. Up and away. Good night, Irene. Oh, doctor. Light tower power, what a bomb. It could be, it might be, it is. Put it on the board. They usually show movies on a flight like that. Open a window, Aunt Minnie. Here it comes. And on that note, I'm going to get up, get out of here. Thank you.
That was wonderful. Definitely a mic drop one there, Ed. Now, but you have to explain to me. My goodness, that ball had a family. Could you explain? Is there?
My take on it was that the batter murdered the ball as he hit it into oblivion.
Yes, I got it now.
So,
That's wonderful. Yeah. That's wonderful. Very fun. I love, by the way, the imagery of the father and the son throwing back and forth. I mean, just so cinematic and so true. I mean, that pitch, catch, pivot, fire. I can see that. My neighbor and his father used to do that every night. And thank you. Wonderful baseball poems.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Our pleasure. Thank you. Okay, so next we have Elaine Nadal, who is Poet Laureate of Milford, Connecticut. I love welcoming poets laureate is the correct way, although I like also poet laureates. She is the author of When and another collection, Sweat, Dance, Sing, Cut. She studied in Spain and Puerto Rico and delivered a TEDx talk on hope, poetry, and music. So please welcome Elaine Nadal. Hi, Elaine.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. Hi, everyone. I will begin reading. My first poem is called The House. This is the first time I share it out loud, so I am a little nervous. So actually, many of these poems are the first time that I share out loud. So this is called The House. There's heat in our house that covers and asphyxiates. It feels heavy when he's around. The stones are my support. They bear the lessons and punishments. He feeds me, but so much bread is stifling, and in his absence, I'm on a fast. I don't know what to do with myself. I change the curtains. I wash the pillows and arrange them. My body spills salt. This is how I want you, he says to me. When I don't want to please him, his barbaric hands reach me, and I hate him, but need him to love me. The stones of my house are carved with dampened dreams, pale caresses, and distorted figures that follow me. I already speak like him. I even think like him sometimes. Yet burning my house would be useless. My temple would remain standing, and if I destroy it, the dust and particles would scatter in air already contaminated. They would fly aimlessly without rest, without shelter, and shivers would be felt throughout as a result of another wandering ghost without a name. These next poems have to do with the house, not just the physical space, but also what we have, like our temple, our body, and what we take in, what we feel. So this next poem, very short, is called Fear. Her hair carried ash, her eyes, not windows, but cobblestones, weighed down my skin, pinched my nerves. I turned cold. My spine curved as she gave my brother a glass of dirty water. He drank it, for it was far better than thirst. She then carved with her fingernails our wooden table, with her sinister smile engendered an eclipse. And everyone continued eating, though they felt her presence there, because they couldn't see her. They could only taste the gradual decay. This next one is called Guilt. From spoils, I've built my house. I keep my windows closed and the blinds shut. I check the stove, the door, and all the plugs many times before bed. I wake up from nightmares and check them once or twice more. I cannot let an intruder find me. I can't let my house be consumed by flames, though I myself am burning. I want to be good seed. I want to be made clean. I don't want bad things happening because of my fault. So that was called Guilt, a very short poem. And this next one has to do with guilt as well. It's called Time. It is in the blues format. And the blues format is AAB. So the first two lines repeat. And then the next line is a response to the first two lines. And this is actually a poem I wrote about the guilt that I felt from losing both my cousin and my grandmother. Time. I gave the box of chocolates, and for days I couldn't eat a thing. I gave the box of chocolates for days. I couldn't eat a thing. My little cousin isn't here. She took the flowers of spring. I was on a plane to Paris when she was on her bed dying. I was on a plane to Paris when she was on her bed dying. A soul can only take so much. It'd been 2 years of her crying. This wasn't the first time it happened. I couldn't hold grandmother's hand. This wasn't the first time it happened. I didn't hold grandmother's hand. I thought I had more time to give. I shouldn't have played in the sand. I won't go on a trip anymore because I know what my lot brings. I won't go on a trip anymore because I know what my lot brings. I shouldn't go around flying. I don't deserve to have wings. So that is called Time, and this next one is the most powerful, and it is actually about time itself. So this is time as being the most powerful. Time is a stranger, familiar, whimsical, and youthful, appearing when her belly is full or in need of affection. She is a bohemian waxing bird carrying the gray night, a yellow birthstone, or a red sunflower petal. A friend of Athena, she weaves a pasture and a desert. Time is a stranger, familiar in her gaze, her smile a reckoning of captured moments, the first love, a seal's laugh, the birth of a child, a field of cloudberries, the taste of a delicacy, a shooting star. Time is a magician and devotee of epiphanies. On a day when her hands touch, you'll look through your photos, your reflection, or a sunrise, and yearning for her embrace, you'll ask her, "Where have you gone?" This next one is called I Gave You More Than a Symphony. I gave you more than a symphony. I released the butterflies from my stomach and allowed them to fly in search for gardens and jasmine flowers in your eyes. I saw desire. I gave you my rhythm, my movements, my seasons, loved you hard, let you love me rough, knowing what love could do. See, love made dad abuse mom. Love made mom stay. I gave you more than a symphony. I gave you my imagination, the ink to write a future we didn't have. And like mother, I stayed because I invested so much, because I didn't want to let go of your hold, your scent, the passion in your kiss. But in bed during the nights when the moon undressed and hid part of herself, I wanted to hide too. And I missed my music. And I wanted to create other symphonies con gusto, dolente, expresivo, apasionato, misterioso, enérgico, feroz. Because love isn't enough and I deserve more. I have two more. This next one is called Amari. So this is Amari. Let me get the... Mi casa no es su casa for you to change the curtains, redecorate, restructure what I have built with my sweat and tears. Mi casa no es su casa for you to look down on with disdain, degrading its humility and simplicity. Mi casa functions in love, in hospitality, in fertile green avocados, golden crispy tostones, the most beautiful flores I've planted during a dry season when hope was a loose tooth, a string hanging from the left sleeve of my sweater. I weathered the storm. I've gotten my hands dirty. Mi casa no es su casa for you to feast and slobber all over my belongings, worth more than gold or cash, worth the blood that runs through my veins, the songs my mother played on the saxophone, pure jazz, pure improvisation, completely free. Mi casa no es su casa for you to continue rules I've already broken. It's not a space for curses. The walls carry oaths for the woman in my lineage, my abuela, my mother, my aunts, my cousins, the daughter I'm waiting for with hope as thin as a needle or a splinter refusing to leave my skin. I'll teach her to know her strength, to not give a damn, to love herself because it's not selfish, to speak without fear of moscas or sharks. I'll teach her to build a house and read the calligraphy in the skies. I'll teach her to roll her eyes when nonsense is spoken and roll her R's like a magic potion, like a superpower, because it is the sound of brokenness restored, undefeated, lingering, unwavering, more than just spicy, wonderfully seasoned, carrying the wonders of all seasons, the backbeat of thunder, the blue notes of a river, the riffs of a robin. Mi casa no es su casa. Mi casa no es su casa. Mi casa no es su casa. And my last poem is Music, is my love letter to music. Music has gotten me through so much. It is very healing, just like poetry is very healing for me. It is good for my soul, for my temple, for my house. This is called Music, my love letter to music. I forgot I had known you. I didn't remember your ways, your body, how it moved like a snake sometimes, or a dolphin, spontaneous and playful, leaping for air. And you, music, you are air. I had known you, the manner in which you move a heart dispirited by storms. You catch the storms and they become dissonant wonders. How did I manage to live like this with the heaviness of things without your sky? I wasn't looking for you. Your embrace came unexpectedly on a cold day of thunder and lightning. You saw me off key with achy, dry bones, sitting on my sofa with too many pillows. Your eyes, finding beauty in a desert or pasture, lit up the room. A song rose from slumber, and I felt alive, a little less lonely. I will cherish you. I will take the debris, the roots, the particles, the pockets of joy, the butterfly, and the cocoon from which it came, and I will turn it all into breath, into life, into you. Thank you so much, guys. This was wonderful. I had so much fun. Thank you.
Oh, Elaine, that was wonderful. That second to last poem, just amazing. And
Oh,
such great, all these wonderful things you're going to teach your daughter. I just loved it. So, and I love the line, by the way, hope was a loose tooth, a string hanging from the left sleeve of my sweater.
thank
Anyway,
you so much. Thank you.
this is a wonderful night tonight. We're just hearing great voices. And which leads me to my next my next victim here. Okay, so next and finally for tonight we have Sandy, I'm going to say it wrong, Yannone. I said it right. Sandy Yannone's poems and book reviews are widely published in both print and digital anthologies, as well as in literary journals. She is a recipient of the Academy of American Poets Prize and also the Association of Writers and Writing Programs, or AWP, Intro Award. After living in the Pacific Northwest for over two decades, directing a college writing center, she now enjoys cultivating her love of poetry and all things vintage and nautical from the comfort of her New England home. Sandy was recently appointed the Poet Laureate of Old Saybrook. So welcome, Sandy. And do check her bio. She's got wonderful, wonderful background. Welcome, Sandy.
Thank you so much, Barb. Thanks, Lucy. And Ridgefield, we can't do anything without our public libraries. They're so important. And what a night, you're right. I mean, hitting it right out of the park. Kat and T'Challa and Ed and Elaine. Wow. Thank you again, and I hope I can be a good closer, to use a baseball term. So I'm going to be reading, and it's apologies. I have a little bit of a tickle. I'm recovering a little bit from a sore throat and, the thing that's going around. So this isn't quite the voice you would hear if I was hosting Cultivating Voices on Sundays, which I hope you'll all check out on Facebook. Contact me if you're interested in reading in an open mic or listening to some great poetry on Sunday afternoons. I just published my second book with Salmon Poetry. It's called The Glass Studio. My parents here in Old Saybrook, Connecticut, for many, many decades, owned a glass studio, a glass business. And my father passed away 2 years ago, and I was this January, actually, in January. And I was able to very poignantly finish this book that's an homage to the idea of glass, and my father's love of glass in the studio itself where he did the work. So this is the cover of the book. It's actually a piece of a larger piece of his called The Beginnings of Time. So I'm going to begin with every poem in this book has the word glass in it. And there are 4 title poems. I'm going to read one that is going to take us across the pond over to Ireland, which is where Salmon Poetry publishes my poetry. So this is called The Glass Studio. In the Copper Room in Limerick, on what should be called Copper Road, the low copper ceiling is held up by copper walls. They sing me their copper songs whenever I can be within them under copper ground. Last visit, Edward and I drank pint after coppery pint of treaty ale, so many coppery pints that we began to see our reflections in our makeshift hall of copper mirrors. Another night, another friend told me about her cancer, but didn't use that word, choosing instead to call it something more shimmery or burnished, like copper, while the candles amplified their messages against the copper walls. The copper room always feels familiar, like the press of copper foil between my fingers, that that I used to wrap pieces of hand-cut glass in my father's stained glass studio as a girl. Every now and then the copper foil would slice through my unsuspecting skin. My blood would ooze like a copper river until someone would bandage me, the copper and blood drying to an even deeper copper hue. Every lamp in the studio was made this way. Copper foil, silver solder, a toxic elixir of patina that muted the shine. People would buy their lamps to hang in their copper kitchens near their copper pans, but few knew the process to make each lamp as I did. Few knew that copper lay buried beneath the skin of the solder seams, or of all that blood turned copper that went into the making of their coppery light. So as I mentioned, that's the first of 4 title poems. And if you get the book, you'll see all the rest of them. Well, I'm very, very aware that we are, that yesterday was a bit of a day of reckoning. And in terms of politics in this country and worldwide. And in 2020, I was writing a poem about after the election, and I thought I should kind of bring it back into the fold here in this month. And it refers to, and it has the longest title I've ever written for a poem. Here it goes. Reading a Carl Phillips poem days after the 2020 election from an unread 2002 issue of the Indiana Review, I fall in love all over again. I know that litigation is never the answer, leads only to satisfaction delayed, gratification, the greater good denied. So what I crave now is air that lacks viral intensity. Who knew I could become socialized to so much distancing? Like Carl Phillips' syntax, impeccable and inscrutable, all at the same scrambled time. And that which I've come to love, but never, quite never apprehend. A feline language roaring always underneath the cat's purr, a claw injected into the center of my eye the moment I open to morning, a pandemic shock to my system, overloaded, waiting to blow like a glass fuse. You never know when the fuse, becomes her, or if she is worthy of such contemplation. You want, of course, to believe she is, but what you don't know is like the future remembered, a shirt worn inside out, a glass kiss given once, now retreating, and you watching every frame of her face pulling away in slow reverse, while on your lips that evaporating inappropriate residue, an ember of touch, everything else the unrequited reflection of how, when mitigated, the lines break exquisitely into place. Well, because I am here in Old Saybrook, and I've just been appointed the poet laureate, the second poet laureate, actually, very, very, very honored to have, grown up here and gone to high school and still friends with my high school English teacher that inspired poetry for me. Just really feeling the feels, my friends, obviously. And knowing there's such an unbelievable wealth of support through the Poets Laureate all over the state of Connecticut. Barb, obviously, you are a champion of that right here, so I thank you. I wanted to write a poem that is based here in Connecticut, that's in the book as well. And although I wrote it when I was out in Washington State, and I should say a little bit of a content notice, it does refer to some domestic violence. And my grandparents, I live next door to them. One of the other Glass Studio title poems talks about the violence that was going on in my grandparents' house, and which is I did not know was actually happening until I was just about to send this book to the editor. And I had speculated about it and found out it was true. And so my next book, which is called currently Preparations for the Unknown, delves more deeply into that subject, among other things like the shadows of love and the Hartford circus fire, which my father was a survivor of. So this is a poem. Let's hope we don't have too many of these this winter, my friends. Nor'easters. I am standing at the stove, stirring the milk to thicken the oatmeal, letting the steam steep into my skin, anything to bring myself back to warm, to ward off the welling in my body. Where this chemistry comes from, I have yet to know. I have been bone cold since yesterday, when days after the storm, I took the broken-handled hoe to the ice buried beneath the snow in my neighbor's driveway. Each blow's outrage accumulates like this Pacific's storm's unprecedented fall, even by New England standards. And then it isn't a body of ice anymore, but a man, every man, who sits inside a dilapidated house on high heat, smoking cigarette after cigarette, filling round, clear glass ashtrays until he puffs out the chimney, while someone outside shovels the snow, bruising the ice beyond recognition, the snow and gravel cupped together like handfuls of broken teeth. Except it isn't any old man. He is my grandfather. And inside this colonial sits my grandmother, enduring day after day of relentless smoke, until it finally kills her one December night, when I am still an ignorant teenager, just shy of 40 years ago this winter. Nothing to do but finish the job, strike his slushed head so hard that he can't possibly lift another glass of ice and something to his chapped lips. A futile effort. He's long been dead, and deader before that. My neighbor now, calmed by gratitude that she can drive away from her imperfect home any time. How my father plowed his parents' driveway piously every nor'easter, I will never know, and never ask him before he dies. So that's a preview of some of the things to come in the next book. Well, when I read a poem like that, I like to be generous and bring a little levity. Well, what more levity could we go to than back to the 70s and to one David Cassidy and the Partridge Family. Folks, I grew up with the show. I loved it. I've got the Partridge Family cards to prove it. I've got it all here in my room. And this poem that I'm going to read was I just found out yesterday. It was a great day to get this news. It's going to be published along with a poem called Requiem for Orlando in the Washington State Queer Poetry Anthology, which is the project of the current Washington State Poet Laureate, Ariane True. So I just wanted to bring a little of the 70s love to where I learned it and lived it here in Connecticut. This is called David Cassidy Writes Me a Fan Letter from the Great Painted Bus Beyond. That's the bus, my friends. That's what it looks like. From the pages of all those Tiger Beat magazines you purchased with your allowance, I became more like sugar with each poster you pulled from the centerfold staples. I never liked that my crotch was always pinned to the crease, that girls tugged at my sleeves, ripped off my clothes, and shredded what was left of me at my concerts. I was hoping to be a firefly that feasted on night flowers, leaving my scent behind with my original songs, the ones no one heard over the din of those pop hits that ABC's money moguls shoveled into my mouth. During boxed lunches on the set, I had to sign thousands of postcards to girls I'd never met. I was drowning, Sandy, in the fountain of teen idol fame, and I didn't know how to swim. Who does in that kind of water? So I vanished into those cheap newsprint magazines of 16, and I became a paper ghost, and only the drugs and sex told me that I was alive. What can I say? Why am I risking this from the great painted bus beyond to share with you? I think you know better than the lyrics to I Think I Love You. Every poem is a spotlight that shines the light back into your eyes. You need to keep them open to honest desires. Don't get caught beneath the undertow of the trapdoor's weight. Come on, you know how to escape, to get happy. You almost do it every day, except you act like it's your shadow side. You never let yourself fully embrace the miracle of you. I sang all those songs on those albums that I know you still sing when you are alone or driving with your sister in her van. I know you gave a private concert to Tara Hardy in your living room, that you have 2 microphones at the ready to practice when you feel inspired by songs you wore down the needles in your preteen bedroom to hear over and over. I wasn't ready for everything that came next after the gold records and the show's opening credits dressed in mod. I should have shaken off that Partridge Family tree sooner, but this isn't my ending, Sandy. This is your beginning. So come on, stay happy. Swallow my songs, my prayers for that girl long ago who loved me as no one could. Retire all those faded fan magazines. You know you are happier when you are unlocked, unleashed from inside the glass house where you've been waiting your whole ludicrous life to sing. And I just want to share with you that the Glass Studio has the actual font from the Partridge Family show on it, on the cover. Salmon does a great job. I'm going to end with a poem that I want to dedicate to Barb, but it's also dedicated to Marie Howe. I wrote this right before I came to Ridgefield this summer to see Marie Howe. I studied with her many years ago, and I had the sweetest reunion with her this summer after about 30 years. So much gratitude, Barb. Thanks everyone for listening. This poem is called How It Begins for Marie Howe. From the middle of where we do not know, and yesterday's relentless rain, and the downpour has ceased to matter, recedes like the hard-earned years our mothers told us to carry and not spill. Secrets, so many secrets in that battered tin bucket. We are breathing in the lyrical now as we gesticulate goodbye, goodbye to our transgressions, to some we've unknown and loved, to most of the things that have held us back. We've arrived a bit early at this place we'd always imagined, but never dared to green. A swaying, blinking signal light in bluster, a yellowed maybe between yes and no. Yes, this is the place we now inhabit, where arias come curled inside cloud bursts, where a breeze rustles through our hair between states of matter, liquid, solid, gas. I've lived my whole life trying to be just one, likely told I should prefer to be solid. But now, today, standing on the ferry between the insecurity of the past and the ever-present, in this moment of self-appointed sleuth, I change tunes forever. Forgive myself. Let the myth of solid lap over the rim of that long-gripped bucket. Let water be water for once. For the first time. Let water be the liquid it was forever thirsting to be. Let every yearning be a lesson in forgiveness, a bird arriving and departing from where we do not know. A gesture of liquid that becomes gas, becoming a swallow of what we've never known into a flight of whom we've always been. And suddenly, in the midst of all this suddenly, everything pivots. and we are the poem, and we let the sky go. Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you so much.
Wow, what a beauty to end on. Wonderful. Oh my gosh. I know someone mentioned that it was, in the chat, great range of voices and poems this evening, and it was. So I want to thank you, Ed, Elaine, who I know had to leave a little bit early, Kat, Tashala, and of course, Sandy. Wonderful reading. And thank you, Ridgefield Library, Lucy Hanley, for hosting us. And I hope everyone will join us next month. So, Lucy, you there?
I'm right here. Thank
Oh.
you, Barb.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Thank you, everyone, for
At all.
joining.
Wonderful night.
Thank you.
Take care. Happy New Year.